Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us for the final chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We'll probably do it over 2 sessions because it's a nice long chapter. And we'd like to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can do an overview of chapter 18. It's entitled The Perfection of Renunciation. And it is the summary of this chapter is as follows. So 18th chapter is basically Krishna is summarizing the whole of the Bhagavad Gita, in fact. He systematically outlines various spiritual truths, and then he offers his ultimate opinion, which is one should take up bhakti yoga, the most essential spiritual practice outlined in every chapter of this conversation, except, of course, the first chapter where Arjuna is just making his various points. Not just in the Bhagavad Gita. If we look at the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, pretty much every chapter talks about Bhakti Yoga and the importance of Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga is pretty central to our spiritual well-being. Thus, one is offered the opportunity of permanent happiness. This is the thing about Bhakti Yoga. It gives us this opportunity for permanent happiness. Why? Because we're connected with the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavatam, we were just looking at canto number 9, chapter 20, how there's a devotee, or 19 actually, chapter 19, Maharaj Yayati, he swapped his his old age for the youth of his son. And he enjoyed for thousands of years. But actually, he never got satisfaction because we're trying to enjoy in this material world with temporary things, but we are eternal beings. So it's very incompatible. So when we engage in bhakti and connect to the Supreme Lord, that's where the opportunity for permanent happiness exists. And also fulfillment by the achievement of Krishna consciousness, which is considered to be the perfection of renunciation. In such consciousness, an individual can smile in the face of all situations and circumstances, confident that the smiling Krishna is his constant companion and eternal friend. So whether the situation is favorable or unfavorable, the devotee, he will always look upon the Supreme Lord equally, whether it's tough situations or not so tough situations. The devotee, he will simply be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, knowing that the Supreme Lord is his ever well-wisher, his eternal friend. So even if reverses take place in life, the devotee will not see them as reverses. He will see them as the daya, the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So this is very important. Even if something goes wrong, like we were talking about it, I can't remember if it was last time, how even in difficult circumstances, the devotee will always thank the Lord, always thank. Thank you, my dear Lord, for that situation. That was a difficult situation, but thank you for it. And in that way, one actually gains the favor, the mercy of the Lord. Always being grateful, even in reversed situations. So in this chapter, as always, there are 4 themes, and we can go through those. How to work in renunciation, and what are the 5 causes of activity? What are the 5 reasons why things happen? This is quite revealing because we'll find out how we're not the only doers, only causes of activity. What are the 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and happiness according to the 3 modes of material nature? So we'll see this. Again, happiness is the thing that we will focus on And then Krishna also describes the Varnashram system, gives an idea of the 4 classes of men or women: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So that's, again, very interesting indeed. And he also links that in with the 3 modes of material nature. And then the final theme of the chapter and the whole Bhagavad Gita, in fact, is Krishna's message that we surrender, Sarva Dharma Parityaja. And more importantly, we spread the message. So this is a basic summary of the 18th chapter. And as the chapter contains many verses, 78 verses, probably the most verses in any chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we'll spread the session over 2 sessions. So today we'll do part 1, next week we'll do part 2. So without, let's have a look how many verses. The first, we're going to look at the first 18 verses. So Hare Krishna, Shruti.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
How are you? Very good.
Prabhuji, thank you. How are you?
Okay, thank you. Fantastic. So let's take out. There you go. So 18 verses, many verses. Who'd like to read maybe half of them up to verse number 9?
Are we doing 1 to 9, Prabhuji?
No, we're doing 1 to 18,
1
but
to 18.
we'll split the English into 2.
Okay.
So Kaushalya, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So let me just make it a little bigger. Okay.
Thank you. Lovely.
So, okay, Shruti, you can start. Huh?
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. अथ अष्टादशोऽध्यायः अर्जुन उवाच सन्न्यासस्य महाबाहो तत्त्वम् इच्छामि वेदितुम् त्यागस्य च हृषीकेश पृथक् केशिनिषूदन.
Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and the end of the renounced order of life, sannyasa, O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses.
Shri Bhagavan uvacha काम्यानां कर्मणां न्यासं सन्न्यासं कवयो विदुः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं प्राहुस्त्यागं विचक्षणाः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyasa. And giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga.
त्याज्यं दोषवदित्येके कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणः यज्ञदानतपः कर्म न त्याज्यम् इति चापरे.
Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned.
निश्चयं शृणु मे तत्र त्यागे भरत त्यागो हि पुरुष व्याघ्र त्रिविध संप्रकीर्तितः.
O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds.
यज्ञदानतपः कर्म न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत्. यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्.
Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls.
This is an incredible verse. Krishna is describing how sacrifice, charity, and penance we must all be doing. We do something, maybe a little bit, it doesn't matter. Something better than nothing, because that even purifies the great souls. So very interesting verse.
नियतस्य एतान्यपि तु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलानि च कर्तव्यानीति मे पार्थ निश्चितं मतम् उत्तमम्. Text 6, Prabhuji.
All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectations of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Partha. That is my final opinion.
नियतस्य तु सन्न्यासः कर्मणो नोपपद्यते मोहात् तस्य परित्यागस्तामसः परिकीर्तितः.
Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
दुःखम् इत्येव यत् कर्म कृत्वा राजसं त्यागं नैव त्यागफलं लभेत्.
Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation.
कार्यम् इत्येव यत् कर्म नियतं क्रियते अर्जुन सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलं चैव सत्यागः सात्विको मतः.
O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness.
So Krishna has described the three types of renunciation. One is one gives it up just whimsically, another gives it up because it's hard to do, and then he talks about that person who renounces because of duty, which is in the mode of goodness. So now from 10 to 18, 9 verses. Surinder, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhu, Nitai Gaura Haribol. Yes, Prabhu, I will read.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Prabhuji. न द्वेष्ट्य कुशलं कर्म कुशलेनान् उषज्जते त्यागी सत्त्वसमाविष्टो मेधावी छिन्न संशयः.
The intelligent renouncer situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work.
Nahi dehabhrata shakyam tyaktum karmanyasheshatah yastu karma phalatyagi satyagityabhidhiyate.
It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced.
Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividham karmanah phalam bhavatyattyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit.
For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy.
Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibodha me sankhye kritante proktani siddhaye sarva karmanam.
O mighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me.
Adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithagvidham vividhascha prithak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam.
The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the supersoul. These are the 5 factors of action.
So we will look a little bit closer to these 5 factors of action when we do our quick review of this theme. Okay.
Sharira vang manobhiryat karma prarabhate narah nyayam va viparitam va panchaite tasya hetavah.
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors.
Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tu yah pashyatya krita buddhitvan sa pashyati durmatihi.
Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are.
Yasya nahankrito bhavo buddhiryasya na lipyate hatvapi sa iman lokan nahanti na nibadhyate.
One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions.
Jnanam jneyam paritnyata trividha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trividha karma sangraha.
Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the 3 constituents of action. Nitai Gaur Hari. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very good. So quite a challenging part of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna talks about renunciation, and then he talks about the factors of action. So in summary of these 18 verses, if working in this world seems to attract karmic reaction and implicates us in a web of worldly complexity, is it not safer that we give up work? So Krishna addresses this question. Isn't it easier not to do anything if we're going to be entangled in karma? He disagrees with that. And he again reiterates that action itself is not bad per se in itself. But the root of the problem is the false ego with which we perform the activity. We are thinking we are the doers, thinking ourselves the controller and the enjoyer. But actually, in reality, there are 5 causes. Krishna describes these 5 causes which bring success to any activity. What are those 5? We are there, one of them, only one of them, the jiva. And our interaction is also very limited. All we can do is desire, and Krishna fulfills that desire. So this is the impact the soul we have. We can desire, that's it. Everything else is done through the body, through the senses, through the endeavor, and through the super soul. So we'll see this a little bit more. Since we are only one of the 5, we should never have an overvalued estimation of ourselves. By working in a spirit of detachment, offering the fruits of labor towards a transcendental goal, one can function in this world and simultaneously remain completely aloof, which means we can do our duty, not be attached to the duty, understanding that there is a supreme hand behind everything. Then we will be actually doing it properly in the right mood, and we will not be entangled in this world. So what is a lesson to learn is understand these 5 factors of action. So the individual soul, the body, the senses, the endeavor, and the super soul. So this is a little idea. This text 13 and 14, these 5 causes. We have Devam, which is the Supreme Lord, the super soul within our heart. All our activities depend on his will or sanction. You know that saying, not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely right. He sanctions everything that happens. Then there's the body, adhisthanam, place of action. That's a material cause. Body is also governed by the demigods. So partly it's the body, partly it's the devatas as well. The soul, karta, one of the doers. And again, the doer in the sense of he has the desire. This doer, the consciousness is reflected in the false ego. So if we're thinking I am the doer, then that is, we are very much attacked by this false ego that I am, I. Karta refers to the soul because he is acting to bring about the result of his activity. But his action is limited to that of desire. He just wants to do icha. The soul desires. That's it. As soon as the soul desires, the Lord will put that desire into action. He'll make it happen at some point. Karanam is the senses, the instruments of action. The senses are eyes, ears, working senses, eyes, ears, hands, legs, etc. And then the senses also are sight, taste, hearing, touching, like that, tasting. So we are always endeavoring to satisfy our senses. So partly the soul's desire is to enjoy in this material world the different senses that we have. Hence why we want to do so many things, want so many, have so many desires to fulfill. And then the endeavor, the effort, chesta, effort. Person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally not bound by any activity, since he's acting under the direction of the super soul in the heart. those in complete Krishna consciousness are not ultimately responsible for their actions. So who is responsible for their actions? Well, they depend completely on the Supreme Lord. They become agents of the Supreme Lord. Just like here, Arjuna has surrendered to the will of the Supreme Lord. So he's not bound by his actions. He's taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, who is actually responsible for everything that happens. So under his direction, under the Lord's direction, Arjuna will act. So if we can come to a position where we are as much as possible in Krishna consciousness, then we will also be guided by the super soul within our heart. Okay, so let's look at the next section. It's many, many verses. It's about 21, 22 verses. So right up to verse 40. So who'd like to read? Any volunteers? Maybe you can do half, 10 of them first 10. Lena, would you like to read?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, so 19 to say 30.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Shruti.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Okay, I'll continue. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridhaiva guna bhedatah prochyate guna samyane yathavat shrunutanya.
According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge: action and performer of action. Now hear of them from me.
सर्वभूतेषु येनैकं भावम् अव्ययमीक्षते अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि सात्विकम्.
That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness.
पृथक्त्वेन तु यत् ज्ञानं नानाभावान् पृथग्विधान् वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि राजसम्.
That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion.
यत्तु कृत्स्नवदेकस्मिन् कार्ये सक्तम् अहैतुकम् अतत्त्वार्थवदल्पं च तत्तामसम् उदाहृतम्.
And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness.
So here, Krishna is explaining in terms of the three modes of material nature, the aspect of knowledge. So that person who thinks that, oh, that person's got a different soul to I have, is actually in the mode of passion. That person who's thinking that, who's working without knowledge of the truth, which is very meager, and is attached to one type of work, that is in the mode of darkness. And then he also describes how that person who understands that all living entities, although they're different, they're also one as well in their undivided spiritual nature is one. They're all spirit souls. That person is in the mode of goodness. So that's knowledge. He's described knowledge there. Okay, sorry, carry on.
नियतं सङ्गरहितम् अरागद्वेषतः कृतम् अफलप्रेप्सुना कर्म यत्तत् सात्विकम् उच्यते.
That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitative results is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udahritam.
But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion.
Anubandham kshayam himsam anapekshya cha paurusham mohadarabhyate karma yattattamasam uchyate.
That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
So again, Krishna takes the aspect of action and he splits it into the three modes. So he's saying action which is done as a matter of duty is mode of goodness. Action done for sense enjoyment or sense gratification for one's own profit is mode of passion. And then here we can see the action done without regard to spiritual injunctions and causing violence to others is in the mode of ignorance. Now he's going to look at different types of understanding.
Mukta sango naham vadi dhrutyutsahasam anvitaha. Mukta sango naham vadi धृत्युत्साहसमन्वितः सिद्ध्योर्निर्विकारः कर्ता सात्विक उच्यते.
One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness.
Ragi karma phala prepsur lubdho himsatmako shuchihi harsha shokanvitah karta rajasah parikirtitah.
The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion.
Ayuktah prakritah stabdhah shatho naishkritiko lasah vishadi dirghasutri cha karta tamasa uchyate.
The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance.
So Krishna describes three types of workers, not understanding workers. How one who works according to the scriptures and does his duties, mode of goodness, how one who works for his own gain is in the mode of passion, one who cheats and insults others is lazy, mode of ignorance. Okay. So now we are on 30, yeah.
Number 29, Prabhuji.
Oh, 29, yeah, sorry. Just checking.
Buddhir-bhedam dhriteshchaiva gunattastrividham shrunu procyamanam asheshena prithakvena dhananjaya.
O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination, according to the three modes of material nature.
प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च कार्याकार्ये भयाभये बन्धं मोक्षं च या वेत्ति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ सात्विकी.
O son of Pratha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. So who would like to read the English? Any volunteers? Malini, would you like to read?
Can I read, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, sure, Yogini.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. यया धर्मम् अधर्मं च कार्यं चाकार्यमेव च अयथावत् प्रजानाति बुद्धि सा पार्थ राजसी.
Hare Krishna. O son of the path, that understanding the which cannot distinguish between the religion and the irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of position.
अधर्मं धर्ममिति या मन्यते तमसावृता सर्वार्थान् विपरीतांश्च बुद्धिः सा पार्थ तामसी.
That understanding which consider the irreligion to be a religion and the religion to be a irreligion under the spell of the illusion and the darkness and the service always in the wrong direction of the path in the mode of the ignorance.
So these are the three types of understandings. One is person who is religious and does his duty according to religion, is more goodness. One who doesn't know what is religious and what is irreligious is in more passion. And one who thinks something that is irreligious to be religious is in the more ignorance. Okay.
धृत्यायया धारयते मनः प्राणेन्द्रियक्रियाः योगेनाव्यभिचारिण्या धृतिः सा पार्थ सात्विकी.
O son of path, that determination which is the unbreakable, which is the sustained deficiency by yoga practice, and which those control the activities of the mind of life and sense, is a determination in the mode of the goodness.
यया तु धर्मकामार्थान् धृत्या धारयते अर्जुन प्रसंगेन फलाकांक्षी धृतिः सा पार्थ राजसी.
But that the determination by which one holds fast to fructiferous resolution in religions, economics, developments, and the sense the gratification is of the nature of the position or Arjuna.
यथा स्वप्नं भयं शोकं विषादं मदमेव च न विमुञ्चति दुर्मेधा धृतिः सा पार्थ तामसी.
And that the determination which cannot go beyond the dreaming, fearfulness, lamentations, moral sense and illusion, such un
Intelligent.
Unitil
Intelligent.
demonstration, O son of path, is not made of more of the darkness.
So here Krishna is just talking about determination, somebody who's fixed, strong, determined, is in the mode of goodness, somebody whose determination is dependent on enjoyment. If he can't get the enjoyment, he won't do it, the act. He's in the mode of passion. And one whose determination cannot even go beyond dreaming. They're always just dreaming or being lazy or whatever. That's in the mode of darkness.
त्रिदानीं त्रिविधं शृणु मे भरतर्षभ अभ्यासाद्रमते यत्र दुःखान्तं च निगच्छति.
O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of the happiness by which the conditions a soul enjoy and by which he sometimes comes to the end of the distress.
यत्तद् अग्रे विषमिव परिणामे मृतोपमम् तत्सुखं सात्विकं प्रोक्तम् आत्मबुद्धिप्रसादजम्.
That which in the beginning may be just like a position, but at the end is just like a nectar, and which awakes one to the self-realization is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness.
विषयेन्द्रियसंयोगाद्यत्तदग्रे मृतोपमम् परिणामे विषमिव तत्सुखं राजसंस्मृतम्.
That happiness which is derived from a contact of the sense with their object and which appear like a nectar at a first but position at the end is said to be of the nature of position.
यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनम् आत्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्थं तत्तामसम् उदाहृतम्.
And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is a delusion from beginning to end, to which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of the ignorance.
Very good. There's one more, but we'll talk about this a little bit more detail. But that happiness, which in the beginning is hard, but at the end is like nectar, is goodness. That happiness, which is nectar in the beginning, but poison in the end, is passion. And that which is poison in the beginning and poison at the end is ignorance. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. So one more verse.
न तदस्ति पृथिव्यां वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्वं प्रकृतिजैर्मुक्तं यदि स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः.
There is no being exciting either here or among the demigods. Thank you. In the higher planetary system, which is a freedom from the death three modes born of the material nature.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is a really interesting chapter because, or this theme anyway, Krishna brings so many different aspects and he shows how they are related to the three modes in nature, and we can actually relate to them as well. Looking around us, the reality is that most people are deeply engrossed within this material world. And Krishna pins this down to the three modes of material nature. that entangle each person according to their individual mentality. So he explains how the modes influence our knowledge, our actions, our understanding. So we went through all of those. The worker as well, he described, our determination. So he split them all up into the three modes of materialization: goodness, passion, ignorance. So we can ourselves understand where we are in each category. And then finally, he talks about this sense of happiness, how sometimes it's very difficult in the beginning, our endeavor. For example, if we want to attain a profession, we have to work hard to get that, study hard, work hard to get that profession. But the poison in the beginning is nectar at the end, because once we've got the profession, we've got our livelihood. So it becomes nectar in the end. So that is the mode of goodness. So the lesson to learn from this is what seems like poison in the beginning, in the spiritual context, for example, chanting Hare Krishna or chanting whichever mantra one is doing, it's hard in the beginning to get focused, to fix the mind on the mantra. Very hard. And it almost seems like poison. Oh, why can't I watch television? Why can't I do this? Why do I have to chant and not think of anything else? But if we stick to it, that poison will become nectar in the end. Why? Because that chanting of the mantras will allow us to control our minds and to become closer to the Supreme Lord. So what is difficult in the beginning will turn out to be nectar in the end. And that is distinguished from what is nectar in the beginning, which is sense enjoyment. We want to enjoy ourselves. We want to eat, for example, gulab jamuns. We can eat one, nice, two, not so bad, three, a little bit too much, 4 gulab jamuns and you'll be sick to the stomach. So in the beginning, it's nectar, the sense enjoyment, but in the end, it's poison. So we want to avoid this situation. This is the mode of passion. And the mode of ignorance we want to talk about is poison in the beginning, and it's poison in the middle, and poison in the end. But generally we're within these two categories. What is nectar in the beginning ends up to being poison in the end. But we want to stick to the spiritual practice, which might seem like difficult in the beginning, but it will turn out to be perfect at the end. So let's have a look at this. Happiness and goodness. It's like poison in the beginning, nectar in the end. Why? Because there's so many rules, so many regulations to control the mind. The most important is the mantra meditation. Control the mind and the senses. It may seem bitter, just like poison, to control the mind and the senses. But the successful transcendental realization is the nectar. That when we control our mind and our senses, we will get some spiritual knowledge, some spiritual realization, spiritual understanding. And that is the nectar. And that is what awakens us to self-realization, to who we really are. So this is where I wanted to stop today and ask if there's any questions or any comments. Otherwise, we can continue next week. Anybody, any questions? Anybody like to ask anything or anything to share? Everybody happy? The sense of happiness?
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Prabhu? Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Mr. Saha.
Yeah, is it slok 10? No desta kushalam karma kushalam no anujjate tagi shatkam visisto medhavi chinna samshaya. So could you explain number 10,
Yeah,
please?
brilliant. This one here?
Yeah.
10, the intelligent renouncer.
Yeah.
situated in a mode of goodness, neither hateful or of inauspicious work, nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. This is, he's talking to Arjun that, look, you should be like this. You have to do some work which is inauspicious. You're going to be killing your guru. You're going to be killing your grandfather. That might be inauspicious if you were just looking at it from a material point of view. But become situated in a mode of goodness. Don't hate work which is inauspicious, and don't be attached to auspicious work, because you have to do spiritual work. You have to work according to dharma, and your dharma is to fight. Your dharma is to uphold the law, to carry out justice. And all of the kings before you have been, they have broken the rules of law, and you now have to punish them. So whether that punishment results in you doing inauspicious work by killing your elders, don't be attached, just be focused on your duty. That's what Krishna is saying to Arjun here. The intelligent renouncer, situated in mode of goodness. So you are not attached. Don't be attached to not doing inauspicious work. Don't be attached to just doing auspicious work. Does that make sense, Mr. Saha?
Yeah, this sense, but this is judgment, which one in auspicious and yeah, that's is very difficult to judgment.
Oh, you're saying what is inauspicious and what is auspicious?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
this
true.
taking is very difficult. I feel it.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Yudhishthir was asked to lie, wasn't he, by Krishna, that Ashwatthama, that just say that Ashwatthama is dead to Guru Dronacharya. And Yudhishthir said, no, that's a lie. I am not going to lie. I've never lied in my whole life. So that telling the truth is auspicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very auspicious. But Krishna was making him do something that is apparently inauspicious, to lie. But this is the absolute truth. Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is telling Yudhishthir to tell a lie. So how can that be a lie? That cannot be a lie, because the absolute truth is telling Yudhishthir to do something. So in that situation, Yudhishthir did eventually obey, but initially he was a little reluctant to do so. And even they got a beam to kill an elephant called Ashwatthama, so that Yudhishthir could be a little bit happy with himself while telling this lie. The thing is, we will know ourselves, like Yudhishthir knew that him lying would not be auspicious, and him telling the truth would be auspicious. So we have a good idea, generally speaking. We know, generally, most cases, we will know this is auspicious, this is inauspicious. But what Krishna,
rules and regulations.
Yeah, but what Krishna is saying is, rise above that. In bhakti, don't be attached to doing something which is inauspicious. Don't be attached to doing something. Don't be attached not to do something inauspicious, and don't be attached to doing something auspicious, because you do it in according to dharma. Yeah. So I know what you're saying, that sometimes the division between inauspicious and auspicious can be very blurred. You can't tell, is this auspicious or is this inauspicious? But the main thing to focus on is, would Krishna be pleased with my action? If he's going to be, if I think he's going to be pleased with what I'm doing, then you should, with courage, do that. And pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, I don't know whether I am right or wrong. I think this will please you. Please
Yeah.
guide me. Please guide me.
Well, that makes sense. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for the question.
No, thank you.
It shows, you really thought. I never.
Analyzing.
You analyzed it. I never even looked at this verse before. So very good, Mr. Sir. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else? Shruti, anything you'd like to share? Shruti has always got amazing things to share. And this Sunday, she's going to continue with her wonderful tour of temples in South Bharat. So please do join us at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yes, Prabhuji. And this Sunday I'll continue with the Pancha Pandava temples, which we could not do last week. Actually speaking, it was a good thing that we did it because I wasn't fully ready with the content. So maybe it's Krishna's intention to have put it off so that I could give it some more time.
Very good. Excellent. We are the beneficiaries.
It's all Krishna's mercy.
Yeah, no, thank you. Fantastic. Okay, otherwise, if there's nothing else, we can wrap it up today. And